Do what you want.
There are other ways to approach the same thing. Radio drama was a very good thing. Certainly you could get fine actors to come in and do the same sort of thing. But there are other ways of producing drama. If you really get into it, a good talk situation like we have going on here at night, unpressured, we don't care if we get 500 people on the telephone or 2 people on the telephone over the course of the night. What's important is what happens between the caller and the guy here on the air. If that's done the right way, you can produce some of the same kind of thing that this is that we're talking about here. Some honest communication between people, and I feel that that's something else to be explored.
Now, I'm reaching way back when I say Mercury Theater of the Air, but things that Orson Welles did in those days, that was classic drama, and it's got something that has enough meat in it where it could be a replay situation. It almost would not have to be redone for today's ratings.
It has tried that, though.
It has been done, and it is consistently a failure in terms of ratings and revenue.
Which is very sad, and this is sort of, maybe this is the mark maybe this is the bottom line. It's very sad that why should a thing like this, which really is brilliant, like the Mercury Theater, why shouldn't it work today? But like Dick just said, it doesn't. They've tried it, they put it on, and nothing happens. It appeals to a small amount of people, and once again, that goes back to economics. It's a very sad situation. What has happened to our kind of radio? The same thing.
What's happened to Americans' imagination?
I don't know.
Reading and radio, the imagination is gone. It's gone to television. When you sit and you watch a silly little thing, look back at you.
Do you know that more people listen to the radio than watch television in this country?
I hope so.
That's a fact. They do.
But
unfortunately, it's not the much.
Like Americans don't use their imagination anymore.
Yeah, and every time that somebody tries to use imagination, the other guy gets the ratings. That's the problem. Now, I think that's beginning to crack. I really do. I think that it's a simple competitive situation. You can only play just so many records during the course of a given hour. That's it. No matter if you go non-commercial and nobody says a word, unless you start playing 2 at one time, you can only play so many records at once. That's going to force people to do the kind of thing that this radio station is doing, which I think is an interesting thing.
Now, I'm a bit of a jazz nut, so I kind of hook onto the jazz station here in New York.
Yes, but you're listening to this station now. Why?
Because it gives me a chance to see more of what's going on, and as I was about to say, with this jazz station, it's very nice, commercial and everything else, and I get tired of listening to the same recordings over and over and over again. And I remember Symphony Sid, who did a lot of different things in his time with jazz.
Mm-hmm.
That's a man I kind of miss.
He's down in Florida, by the way.
Is he still working?
Yes. He's down in Florida. I believe it's a station in Coral Gables, incidentally.
Because Miami has no jazz. I just came back from there.
It's in Coral Gables, a small station in Coral Gables, and he seems to be very happy.
And well, that's the kind of thing that, as I say, I do miss. And I think there are other people within my generation now. I'm saying generation 25 to 35 as opposed to the 15 to 25-year-olds.
Well, you won't get an argument from Dick or myself on what you're saying, because your philosophy is exactly the ones we believe in.
Well, how do we fight it?
Well, you're doing it right now.
You're
listening to this radio station, and you're taking part in this program.
And I'm here from my station, and I will never stop yelling and screaming and talking about what you and I are talking about right now. And Dick Summers, the same way, he constantly lectures, and I'm invited all over the country, and we both have national ears. And someday, somebody's going to really stand up and listen, because if you make enough noise and you make enough waves, somebody gets the message. And the more people you get joining your forces, I think the more chance we have of maybe getting something through eventually. And it'll happen. It will happen.
Well, maybe more of us should stop praying for it and hoping for it, start working for it.
That's right.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take it easy, bye. You know, there's another thing, Bruce, and that has to do with ratings and the way ratings are taken. I had a guy up from Nielsen a week or so ago. Very interesting, because the thing that is problematic in terms of the return of radio drama or any of those things, the thing that shot down the radio station that you and I worked on together had to do with the ratings.
Mm-hmm. But ratings, ratings is... These people over there wanted something overnight. You and I both know it doesn't happen.
But the point is it was focused on ratings. Now, there is the weak link in the situation. I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
I have the end solution on how to take ratings. Now, there's not a system in this country or anywhere in the world that I think is a viable avenue for taking ratings. I think it's the most ridiculous situation we're in. How do you measure human beings, Dick? How do you dare say to me, this man eats carrots 3 times a day at 3 o'clock, therefore the rest of the 50 people that he represents eats carrots. But you can't measure people like that. People change every single day. So there's only one way to do it. We must wire every single person in the world in order to take ratings. This is what I submit, that the ITC company with NBC and everyone else implant a computer terminal in everybody's backside as they're born with 2 terminal leads coming out. And every 10 feet from where this person sits, there's another terminal they can hook up. That to me will be violent.
And when that's
I'm being ridiculous.
And when that's implanted, we'll have the Dworkins come over and water it. Hello, you're on New York 97, WYNY.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
My name is John from Borough Park in Brooklyn here.
Oh, fellow Brooklynite. It was the battle of the contest. ABC would give away a brand new Datsun. 2 days later, 99X will give away 25 brand new Datsuns. And then CBS will give away 30 Datsuns. Yes, of course it's a gimmick, Avi. In order to survive the rating game and survive like Dick and I are talking about, you have to gain listeners. Now, my sponsors love Cousin Brucie. Dick Summers' sponsors love Dick Summers, but very frankly, if Dick did not have listeners and Cousin Brucie didn't have a following, they couldn't kill. They'd put us in the wolves so fast, make your head turn. Yeah, so this radio station has to come up with gimmicks.
But
sure.
there's gimmicks and there's gimmicks.
In other words, the radio stations compete the same way as we say TV as far as
of course. Let's see, the greatest contest. Let me just think of the fun contest that I remember. We used to say the Mona Lisa contest, the one that I remember. It was the Mona Lisa contest. We'll give $100 for the biggest Mona Lisa, $100 for the smallest Mona Lisa, $100 for the silliest Mona Lisa, $100 for the most original. Now, the Mona Lisas, thousands of them came in. I mean, ABC, what can I tell you? Powerful station. Powerful. Part of our childhood, part of our lives, ABC. Still is to this day. You know, we're not going to deny that. Well, all these entries were taken down to the Polo Grounds. This is a great story. And the winners were to be judged by some people from the staff of ABC and Salvador Dali. This is true. And they were beautiful, beautiful entries. Well, anyway, these entries were spread out all over the place. The whole infield and the bleachers were jammed with these huge things. Polo Grounds. That's in the Bronx. You know, remember that place? And the place was literally covered with paper. Beautiful, you know, kids painted it and people painted it. Well, the wind started blowing. These are the things that used to happen in these. And Mona Lisas were flying. Up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Mona Lisa. Literally flying all over the place, Dick. Sklar gets on the phone and says, Bruce, we got to do something. And he calls up and he gets the promotion director at that time. This guy, all I can remember, the name David hits me. David. And he says, Dave, we got to do something quick. Well, David makes a couple calls and gets a truckload of huge boxes. Now, listen to this. You're not going to believe this story. This is a beauty. Huge load of boxes. Now, picture these things flying out, and we're chasing Mona Lisas around. And we get everybody holding these things down. Boxes then are placed on them. The ones on we scotch tape them, we use gaffer tape. Finally get everything down. It starts raining. It rained like a son of a gun. Unfortunately, in the boxes was soap suds. Well, picture this, folks. Mona Lisa in a bubble bath. The place was a disaster. Salvador Dali, of course, saw this. I think he painted it. He loved it. He painted it. Are you kidding? It's probably hanging in the Metropolitan, the Met now. Beautiful thing. Then the great kite contest. Remember when everybody was going kite crazy about 10, 15 years. Everyone was flying kites, right? Rick and I are walking down. Every time I think about Rick, we had a lot of history together. Rick and I are walking down by the Hilton. It used to be, it was a Sayonara, not Sayonara. A very famous Japanese restaurant. Used to be on 53rd Street between 6th and 7th, I think. Well, anyway, and they're flying Japanese kites. And he says to me, why don't we have a kite contest? And I said, all right, fine with me. Everybody's going kite crazy. So we get on the air, and we do our original $100 for the biggest kite, $100 for the smallest kite. All right, Central Park. Dig this now. Now, we never realized, I think, or appreciated the power of that station in those days. Rick and I were the judges, and we had $500 in our pockets, and we went down there. I think we had a couple of the gals from the office, and we went down to see what would happen. Well, we get to the place. You literally could not see the sky. You could not see the sky, Dick. There were kites like biggest things I've ever seen. In fact, I'll tell you the winning entry in a moment. You will not believe that actually flew. There were small kites, big kites, silky kites. You could not see. It was a beautiful day, and they were flying. And we looked at each other, and we knew we were in trouble because there was no way that we were going to be able to judge this contest. Now, you know, you don't fool around in New York City because the people have a sense of humor, but if they feel they're being put on or cheated, you got troubles. Rick said to me, Bruce, I'll see you later. I haven't seen him since. He didn't want any part of this. Well, I'm there. Now, listen to this. The winning kite to this day is a great... I have a picture of this, which if you go in the book. The winning kite was a replica, an absolute size replica of the Wright brother airplane. Somebody built a kite the size of the Wright brother airplane. Of course, he won his $100. I distributed the wealth very quickly, and I left. And It was fine. We didn't get any kind of trouble. But that was those two contests are the ones that I remember, really, that were a lot of fun. But every time you'd open your mouth on the station, it's like this. You get a reaction, you get a response, and people want that. It's fun. It's this city. That's what makes it tick.
How do you feel about the fact that it looks like the days of that kind of thing are over?
I won't admit it. See, I fight. That's why I get so aggravated. Like when I left here, my contract
No, not
finished,
here.
Well,
there.
Not here. I'm talking about this building. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, across the hall.
Yeah.
No, I'm not angry anymore.
No,
I'm
of
just
course.
very disappointed. Now, I was promised something that we're going to be able to communicate, and we did. And then, of course, as I said, they started the program director of the Week Club, which is still going on, from what I understand. But that's their problem. That's not our problem anymore. How does it make me feel? Sick. Because radio is the most beautiful device for touching people, looking at someone's eyes and saying, hey, what do you think? And then when they don't let me receive an answer, we're not doing radio. Let them use a jukebox. What do we need? Let's get one of these stupid machines and push a button and let it time. We don't need people. This is the most human device man has ever invented. It is more human than any other mass communication device. Television, newspapers, magazines, motion pictures. What is more real than radio? Right now, we are in bed with millions of people. Hello, baby, move over. We're right in bed. We are in pockets. We're at work with people. We are friends of people. And there's nothing more intimate than this microphone right now. And if they don't let you use it, what do you have? You got some wire and some transistors.
I got a letter that I should have brought in for you to read. It was a letter from a young woman who is a nurse in a nursing home. A nurse in a nursing home. And she was telling me about a broadcast that I was doing recently. I was on the air. And, you don't really think about that kind of thing that much. But she was telling me about the fact that she has a very small radio. It was in her pocket. And
what pocket? That's very important. Are you aware you can tell the personality and character of a person by where he or she keeps it?
Well, I think she had only one pocket in her uniform, so it had to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But she was saying that one of the people there was dying, and that she was really broken up about this, and that she couldn't think of anything to say. And I was on the air at that time. And she said, think about that, Mr. Sullivan. Your voice was the last voice that this person heard. What a trip.
Oh, I'll tell you. I don't have anything to match that one, but I'll give you one that I will never forget as long as I live. I get a call from Bear Mountain. I think Bill Epphart was on the board at this time. Matter of fact, Bill is sitting there. He still works here at NBC. He doesn't work. He does whatever else does.
He's working for WYNY now.
I know.
This is a different club.
I know. That's why he's a happy guy. His pimples disappeared. He doesn't have pimples anymore.
Your pimples disappear?
He's out of puberty now. He's growing up. Listen to this. This is a great story. Here's perfect. A great example of just what you said. And radio, how it can communicate. I get a call from the warden or the conservation gentleman over at Bear Mountain State Park. He says, Cousin Brucie, we have a problem. We've lost 30-some-odd Boy Scouts. They went into the woods with their group leader, and we cannot find. They're lost. They're listening to the radio, and they listen to Cousin Brucie. Could you? And I said, absolutely. Well, I went on.
This is at your station now?
This was at ABC, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm positive it was at ABC. No, not at my station now. This was at ABC.
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
And up where in Orange County, no one gets lost. We all are experts in the woods, Well, I start broadcasting, and I say, look, I know there's a whole scout, whatever troop it was from Queens or whatever the heck it was. I want you to stay where you are and put the radio on very loud because we know you're lost, but I don't want you to be scared. And I talked to them. And I played music for them, and I talked to them. Well, sure enough, within 1 hour, they were found, and the radio was on. And it was like, I was there.
That's sort of feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I was there. Yeah.
I got to open the phones because they're going bananas. 977-9520 is the number, 977-9520. If you don't recognize this guy's voice by now, you never will. So, hey, do me a favor before we get to the phones, because I'll forget. But we got a tape rolling. Jeff flagged this. Will you just do a and a Dick Summer for me?
Let me go. This is a rehearsal one. This is testing.
Take one.
Dick Summer.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Okay, because I'm gonna use that over record.
$6.34, please.
You got it. Hello, you're on New York 97, WYNY.
Yes, Dick?
Yes.
Well, thank you, first of all, because this is Ed from New Rochelle, and it's so great that you have Cousin Bruce on the air. It really is. It's beautiful.
We'll talk to him.
Hello, Ed of New Rochelle.
Cousin Brucie, I have an apology to make.
Yes, sir.
From your final night on radio, I called in and I imitated Don Imus, and I almost got sent on the air. And it was I guess you people are partying pretty good down there.
Oh.
It caused the scene down there.
I'm still hungover from that party.
It's a shame that something that you people had on the AM radio cannot happen today.
No, but wait a minute.
Anywhere.
What you're missing is something else. Here is a man sitting next to me who has fulfilled a dream. He never would have done that. Now, I know this. You never would have bought that station. Never. Because I never would have gotten into my thing the way I'm doing it. I know that. When you're on the air, even if things are not going the way you want them to go, there's still a happiness, there's a joy about
Right,
going to
and
work.
more than that, let's be very selfish. Listen to me. You hear me now?
Yes.
Listen what I'm going to tell you. Dick is absolutely right. Now, I am, as a man, I was very unhappy. However, if Dick and I did not go through that particular situation, I would not have had my dream, which is a radio station.
Right.
Now, for one reason. Now, besides the happiness and the silliness on the air, of course, and the anger, of course, with the bitterness from the AM station, the money. I was earning a tremendous amount of money for years and years and years. And my friend Eddie and everybody else, honest to goodness, and I'm being very honest right now, when somebody hands you a contract, year after year after year after year, you just can't drop it and say, hey, I think I'm going to go and leave this place and do it, unless you have something for more money. So it boils down, honestly, to the bucks, too, besides having a good time in the air, Dick.
Sure.
You know?
That was the second part of
But
it.
it is a shame.
And it's good. It is so good for guys like us to go out and find out what it is like on the real world.
Yes, it is.
I'll never forget that September, heading into Labor Day, and I read it a good 30 days in advance that it was happening, and how Don Imus built it up on his morning show, and just kind of telling people that it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
And you all kind of pointed it out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very sad thing.
Well,
that month in August
It's
was
over.
probably the saddest month that radio has ever gone through.
All I can tell you is that last show, and Dick will underscore this, probably had one of the largest radio
I had to
audiences since
follow
the
him.
Gene Tunney fight.
Wait a
Gene
minute.
Tunney tight?
You guys don't. You both have completely missed the point. I had to follow you. There's New York. Is oh my God,
Dick, I
Bruce
heard
is
every
gone,
bit of it.
and I'm next.
I cry. Look, the sad thing is that I was able to tape Cousin Brucie and run out of tape and just sit down and cry, saying to myself, it'll never happen again.
You know what I
It was
did?
the end of, it was called the end of an era. And very frankly, when I left the air that time, I said, and you have this on tape, and everyone else who was listening who heard that last radio show, which seems to be almost everybody in this 300 miles around this place, I said I will never come back on the radio again until I feel I am ready and a radio station's ready for me. And last week, Ed, I signed on the air and I did my first radio show, which is the opposite of the last radio show on my own radio station. And I was Cousin Brucie again. I was Bruce Morrow, and I did what I want to do. And I have a format, which we'll discuss soon, which I've developed. And I'm doing radio again in my own little station. And I'm having a terrific time. And you're talking, you're listening to a very happy individual right now, a man who's fulfilled something.
And that's the bottom line.
Yes.
Right. One other thing, and this I would ask you, because not for myself, but is it, or would it be possible, and this is something I think maybe all of you could consider, something maybe even in a sense of a charity thing, if you all got together. I think you would probably, to do it again, the way you were before you left,
Yeah, but you see, listen to
it's
something.
amazing.
Here's the point. He's doing now pure Cousin Brucie.
Right.
Because there's not going to be anybody who's going to say to him, Brucie, you got to talk over the intro.
What is the story? Don't tell me how to steer this damn ship. It's my ship. You know the old story?
That's right.
I have to leave because I'd stay out all night. I just wish, and in all honesty, that somehow or another, you fellas could come back for one night, and even if it was in a 4-hour program.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to hear?
If money went, for orphans or something like that, it would be fantastic what you all could do at one time. Nielsen would have to scratch his whatever and just say, well, this is the way radio should have been.
You want to hear? Well, first of all, you're listening to a radio station now that's doing, I think, something beautiful. The station you're listening to right now, Y97. You want to hear what I'm doing? Anytime you're around, we're in Orange County, and it's WALL, and it's in Middletown, New York, and we broadcast all over Orange and Sullivan and a piece of Rockland and Ulster. You want to hear what I'm doing, I think it would knock you right in your keister. We're doing radio, and it's kind of fun. But that's kind of a dream. It's like somebody wanted to bring the Beatles back. You know, we all have beautiful memories, and it's nice. And
But beautiful memories, and Bruce, not to interrupt you, beautiful memories are made on friendship.
yes.
And thank God, all you people today still have that. And I think that's why it would be possible.
You know, I was very touched. Funny, interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I did a telethon in Jersey, which was carried on Earth Satellite for the Lions. And a lot of the guys outside, there's Larry Kenny and Chuck Leonard, and a whole bunch of the guys came out.
Larry was up here a few weeks.
Oh, lovely, talented man, you know. And yeah, we do have a friend. There's a nice, warm feeling and a very sincere feeling amongst all of us. And that's something that I'll always cherish with Dan and Dick here and all the guys at ABC and NBC and NEW. We are all good friends. And I think we look at each other and say, boy, we'd like it all to come back. But we know, it's just,
no, it
won't happen. It's over.
Thanks for the call.
All right.
Take it easy.
Take care and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
My first professional job in radio was in New Rochelle. At a little radio
Was that
station.
in a bakery?
No, it was in a radio station, and they were forced to change the call letters shortly after. But I had nothing to do with that. 977-9520 is the telephone number. Hello, you're on New York 97, WYNY.
How are you?
Very good.
I would like to ask you both what your opinions are about the future of radio personalities and radio in general, and about what you think about of the music today, the disco music, and where you think it's going. I worked with Bruce when he was at ABC, so I have some memories of the good old days, and I just was curious to see, what your opinions were about the future, a little predicting maybe.
You have me curious. Did we work together at ABC?
Yes.
Are you allowed to give your name in the station? Why not?
Who is this?
Who is this?
My name is Shelley. I don't think you'll remember me, Bruce. I worked in a music library.
Oh, yes, I do, Shelley. Wait a minute, Shelley. You're a tiny little, beautiful little package.
Thank you.
And you're shaped like this. That's right. I remember you, Shelley. That's right.
Anyway, I've been in the business. I'm out right now, hoping to get back in, and I wanted to know what you
My opinion?
think about what's happening out there.
I'll give you my opinion, and Dick, being an optimist, being a true, born 100% through and through optimist, I am hoping that the personality will be put back into radio. I think it is happening with radio stations like this, and people like myself who get national publicity. I just had an editorial. I don't know if you saw it, Dick. I'll send you a copy in the March 12th issue, last week's issue of Television Radio Age, blasting the radio industry and saying, let's get back to facts, guys. Let's start doing radio again.
I'd like to see it. I didn't see it.
I will send it to you. I'm sorry you don't have that for tonight. And Shelley and everybody else, I am hoping, and I will, as long as I have breath, and I have a lot of wind in me, still have plenty, I will never stop screaming to start putting radio back into radio, and let's stop these statistical readouts and these hotshot programmers who don't know the first thing about where around the corner is or where the bathroom is, and they come in here with these silly numbers and don't understand anything about the temperament of the people. I will scream to my last breath to get people back into radio, to get that nice warm feeling of a cousin Brucie and a Dick, and what we would like to do with radio. I think there's definitely a future. Right now, no. Right now, you're getting the same records over and over again. You're getting guys pumping jingles at you, these little program directors walking around with numbers.
You get a program director?
Oh, yeah, you're listening to them.
Oh, I see.
I'm the program director. I program the music, and I do my whole thing. I mean, this is my thing, and this is what I've been waiting for, and I'm using all of my theories, and everything I say here, I'm doing on the air.
What do you think about the music?
What do I think about the music?
Yeah.
Just like anything, that's a huge, broad question. If you're talking about it, tell me what you're talking about. Disco?
Yeah.
I think it's horrible.
And punk?
Punk?
Yeah.
It's for the punks. I don't think, punk is not even, to me, worth it. Todd, this whole new wave thing is such a phony thing. It is probably one of the greatest hoaxes perpetrated by the record industry and the American public.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, I don't think it's worth even talking about because it appeals to such a small, if you look at statistics, it appeals to such a small amount of people, minority. Such a small amount of people. You take a look at record stores, how much new wave music do they sell? Very little. There are a few groups that have crossed over, like Blondie, but they have something to offer. How many of these punk groups really mean anything? Not too many. As far as disco
obviously is a fad, but, I mean, KTU just beat ABC out of the ratings the first time.
No, that's not punk, though. That's, wait, now you're talking about disco. Right. Now you're talking about something else. Now you're talking about a thing that has developed over the years. You can trace that back from gospel to R&B. R&B developed. And the R&B is a beautiful instrument of music. And, of course, now we're going through a transitory period, something called disco. And that, of course, is a sociological situation involved in that, an economic situation. So it's not just a matter of music. It is a very easy way for people to let some steam off and rather inexpensive. It does very well. If I had some money to invest, as much as I think disco is horrible, I'd put my money right into it right now. I'd want to get it out within a year because I don't think it's going to be there much longer. It's going to develop because now we're getting some very, very fine musicians into the so-called disco field. I think it's horrible. It doesn't show to me any kind of imagination to hear boom, 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 boom. That to me is not music. It is a fun thing. It is successful at WKTU. Who, if you read anything about the people who were working at KTU, they know darn well they were dying. They were down to the old Drano. And here they put this stuff on the air. And they did fantastically well. That station was up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
That station was Gonzville. It was owned by San Juan Racing. They were going to sell that. They were going to sell a few others. I know some people were dickering with those stations. And they had an accident. They put the stuff on and wham, blew the tubes off. If you listen to ABC, you know what they're doing now? I listened to Dan the other day. Every other record is disco. Got me nauseous.
I don't listen to ABC anymore.
Well, I do.
Good for you.
Well, I do.
No.
You know why, Shelley? You know why I listen? I want to know what the heck they're doing.
I listen to Dick exclusively.
Well, I listen to Dick too.
Shelley.
But you gotta listen. You should listen to everything to know what's going on. Because
No, they
you can't-
shouldn't.
Oh, yes, you
My
know,
show.
You're fibbing. You know darn well.
Shelley.
No, I
You're
come from
beautiful.
Boston. I'm a fan from Wayne.
Well, we don't hold that against you.
No, I know you don't. Dick, what do you think about the music and radio?
Well, I think that personality may be coming back. I think radio is getting bigger because the FM stations are now on an equal level with the AM stations in terms of audience possibilities, in terms of penetration. It's just about the same thing now. Car radios, FM's a little down, but mostly people have FM radios. And they're very mobile. You got them out on the beaches and all over the place in the parks and such as that. So FM's got a shot at it. Now, that doubles the number of radio stations available in the market. And that means that the old things have to go out the window. That's why ABC lost the KTU, because...
They didn't flow with the changes.
Yeah, right. And they're in a box right now. They can't go any further. They're about the best rock and roll top 40 radio station there is on the AM dial, and they're in a box. They can't cut back any further. They can't do any more of a number of jingles or anything like that. They're going to have to cut pretty soon, I think, cut bait and try something new, which is going to be a real impact in the industry. I think personality
Are
radio
you
is coming
aware that ABC just got their permission to do an AM stereo?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, Bruce.
It's a shtick. It's a gimmick, you know?
10 years from now, people will have AM radios that can pick up stereo.
Meanwhile, at ABC goes on and on about how we talk about it, we still do it. They always seem to come up with something. And like I said, Ingram's, the station is being programmed for disco because now it's disco. They've gone through this. When I was there 13 years, they've gone through these fads. They've lost. I remember many times meeting with the executives there and saying, we got to do something. We've had critical periods many times during those 13 number one years. Many times. And they survived. Well, they know someday, someday...
I don't mean that station's going to be up for
why
sale
not?
next
month.
Well,
It is.
Of course not.
Oh, it is. You and I have enough money, we can buy it.
You maybe not.
Perfect. They can give me a job. What about the music, Dick? What do you think about the music?
I'm afraid that what I'm listening to is guys like Bruce, and I was one of those people, Bruce, who said that KTU that's ridiculous. They're going to go head-to-head with BLS, and they're going to lose, and it's going to be terrible. Shows how smart I was. But I have a feeling that disco is going to be here because I keep hearing the same things said about disco that was said about rock and roll 25 years ago or 20 years ago, and that makes me nervous. Guys who know the...
A very interesting thing has happened. I'd like to say this. We have a local newspaper up there called the Times Herald Record, which is a very powerful voice, very successful voice up there, and everybody reads it. Last week there was an article in the paper that made my partner and I look like a Gestapo. It said that we are making everybody work 6 days a week. Now, I don't know about